There is a new hog processing facility that is nearby, and their goal is to put 100 CAFOs within 100 miles of their facility. And my county is just right smack in the bullseye of that. I found out about a year ago that we were going to be the latest site for a hog factory. The reason I live here is we love the outdoors. We're active outdoors people. We enjoy the rivers. We enjoy the streams, paddling, kayaking, swimming, fishing. All of those things are affected by CAFOs.
All of the things that we thought would for sure stop the project because it was bad for our watershed, you know, for the fact that it was 1.8 miles from Lake Michigan. We thought for sure that because it was a trout stream, it would certainly get some special protections, and we were wrong. We thought that the fact there was an operating church across the street was First Amendment protections, and none of that made any difference. Basically, if you're a farmer and you apply for a CAFO and you check all the boxes, you're going to get that permit. And we didn't understand that going in. I think we were so comfortable in this idyllic setting that we just thought it was untouchable, that everybody felt like we did, and everybody would work to protect the environment because we'd already been through so much. It's not turned out to be the case.
We've lived here 50 years, and all our neighbors here have lived here 35 to 40 years. And they had no right to move in on us with those buildings. It was wrong, and they have no conscience about what they did. We had signatures. We had 176 signatures that protested the buildings there, and that did not faze them at all.
These CAFOs can cause extreme health risks. The 5 gases, the methane, the hydrogen sulfide, the ammonia, the carbon dioxide, the carbon monoxide, cryptosporidium, E. coli. We're getting bloodworms. We're getting all kinds of possible viral bacterial. We got Giardia. The list is unlimited. And nobody's checking these things.
We had one horrific episode of dead cow parts and flies, and an enormous amount of liquid manure over-applied surrounding a farm. And the flies went on from August 31st of 2003 until October 1st at least. And I went over several times, stood at those farms, experienced it, and so did DEQ. In fact, it was DEQ who verbally told us that probably the flies were a result of not just the liquid manure, but the dead cow parts that were mishandled at a facility, as well as spread raw on area fields. Does anybody besides me think that's a public health threat? I mean, nobody did anything about it.
Department of Environmental Quality. I mean, it sounds so reassuring. You know, we're going to have clean air and clean water, clean earth, but the reality is that the DEQ can only enforce the rules on its books. I mean, they have outstanding staff. They have very helpful staff, people who are passionate about what they do, but their hands are tied by the rules that the legislature has put in place. The organizations that we thought were in place to assist us, it turns out they're not really. They have specific criteria. Their mission statement is really clear.
The problem of CAFO pollution has not gone away. Sometimes you'll be led to believe that, oh, it's a much better system now, and the facts do not prove that out. The water is still being polluted by too much manure, 2.5 million gallons in 1 year. That's relatively moderate CAFO. Our CAFO has a permit for up to 10,000 hogs in this one area. So that would double that amount of manure that would be spread all over pretty much 2 townships.
One dairy cow produces as much urine and feces as 23 people. A 3,000 head dairy CAFO produces the equivalent amount of waste every day as 69,000 people, more than the population of Saginaw. Cities spend millions of dollars treating their waste, making it safe, while CAFOs do not. CAFO waste is far more concentrated than human sewage, yet no laws require CAFO waste to be treated. The waste is stored untreated in lagoons, often fermenting for months until the CAFO operator spreads it on nearby farm fields. Far too often, the waste runs off fields or seeps through the soil into underground drains called field tiles and runs directly into streams and lakes. When applied to snow or frozen ground, untreated waste flows directly into streams as soon as the snow melts. People who live near fields where CAFO waste is applied have been diagnosed with exposure to dangerous air pollutants that include ammonia, particulate matter, and hydrogen sulfide.
So we kind of felt like we were on our own in this. We knew to be afraid. We knew to be alarmed, but we didn't know how to stop it.
We're also hoping to get some people who have done this training to also bring them back home with them.
Sierra Club, I mean, they've been around for generations. I mean, we grew up with Sierra Club. They were the first people we reached out to. You know, what do you know? What can you tell us? How can you help us? They put us in touch with other people. They were our go-to organization because none of us knew anything. We can still do something about it. We can impact that. It's a long process, and it's not going to be a speedy, oh, in 2 months we're solving the problem. But we have to be careful who we elect and what kind of laws they propose. And we need to be more vocal. A farmer going out with his bucket and milking his cows and, you know, free-ranging his chickens, and we've moved far, far from that. Family farms around here are really struggling, and I understand the desire to preserve your farm and make a living. And I just think it's criminal that our government isn't assuring that for them, that we're making them make terrible choices. But these are desperate times for farmers.
And now it's our turn. We're the target. If we don't do something right now, we're the last generation that's going to be able to provide any type of restrictive permits. Residents need to become familiar with their county officials. If you live in a city, you can still be supportive because this is going to affect the entire area. I'd like to say to my granddaughter, I'd like to say to my own children that I was able to do something to keep the waters clean, to keep the air fresh. I really hope that other people will have that same opportunity to step forward and do something. If we don't, there's not a chance that we're going to have a clean environment.